Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Harakakadash, double honor to the apostles and elders of great most under Ruwal, and Shalom to all the brothers doing like sincerity and truth. Got this article here on the Reuters, and I heard about the situation before, but I didn't look at it, and it's kind of looking at it now. It seems like something that could easily be used to bring in the family of the word, basically, because you have the guy who runs Telegram. So I'll just read it. It says Pavel Durov's lawyer says the case against Telegram boss is absurd. So it says Telegram boss Pavel Durov's lawyer said on Thursday it was absurd to suggest he should be held responsible for any crimes committed on the app amid growing frictions between the governments and tech giants over content on their platforms. France's arrest of Durov, a first for a CEO of a major messaging platform, has sent a warning to social media bosses unwilling to tackle alleged illegality on their apps. It has also plunged French-Russia relations to fresh lows, according to Moscow, where some pro-Kremlin figures have accused Washington of being behind the detention of Russian-born Durov. Which all those things are like, could be viable. Who knows? But then with this situation, it's basically like with Telegram, it being a social media platform, the kind of the law that was established in the US with social media platforms has basically put in place to let people to kind of have it so fucking hell. It was set up in a way so that regardless of what's posted on their website, the people that post it are held liable, and then the companies itself, so like Facebook or Twitter or YouTube or whoever, Telegram, won't be held liable for what people post. Because I had it here as well. It's a lot. Nah. So got section 230 on Wikipedia. It says that section 230 is a section of the Communications Act that was enacted as part of the Communications Decency Act of 1996, which is Title 5 of the Telecommunications Act of 1996. And generally provides immunity for online computer services with respect to third-party content generated by its users. Because I believe you had, I think the case that kind of shone a light on it was, I can't remember, it was like back on old message boards. People posted something, and then I think it led to an actual incident going down, and then this law was basically a loophole set up because like someone who owned the site at the time, I can't even remember what site it was the whole situation. So let's see. Oh, so it's fucking porn. So the act's most controversial thing is that it's a based on, because it was sent to regulate pornographic material on the thingy. The amendment was made to CDA to add decently when available obscenity to cyberspace. So I can't. This shit was long. As far as the particulars of why they set up, but it was basically any kind of site like hosting material like forums and whatnot. Like now you would have like any form, now it's social media, but back then it was like forums the people that own the forums won't be held liable for what next person people put on there, and that's kind of been the baseline of like how a lot of like most sites have been able to run without people getting sued, the actual owners of the site getting sued for a lot of these websites. So it's like that's why. But then because of this act, they have to enforce a certain amount of well, they're not allowed to moderate. Well, they're not supposed to be allowed to moderate content, but then they also have to what's it called, to basically take down anything that infringes upon this. So it'd be like um you know child pornography or any kind of anything illegal basically can be taken down. So I think it says it provides goods protect. So Section 230 provides good Samaritan protection from civil liability for operators of interactive computer services in the good faith removal or moderation of third-party material they deem obscene, lewd, lascivious, filthy, excessively violent, harassing, or otherwise objectionable, whether or not such material is constitutionally protected. So it's bringing down like certain material off websites, um, and that's basically been the way that like even if people post it, as long as they're taking action to take shit down, then it's what you call it. They're not held liable. So with the case with Pavel here, it's it kind of for me it kind of leans more towards if they do something with this in the EU, then it would kind of lean towards afterwards going towards Twitter, because it's something I noticed from really from when the riots was happening over here. The whole situation they had with how Twitter was set up is you just have, since Elon's taken it over, it's kind of just been out there, people posting whatever the hell they want with barely anything getting taken down, unless someone is explicitly saying, "Yo, kill this person," or something like that on that kind of level. Generally, like any kind of racism, any kind of saying like, "Oh, certain kinds of rhetoric are cool." It's all been good, and it's something that looking at, I was just like, how is it that it's just become this loose, to the point where it's like you go on it. It's it's kind of wild. But then if they're kind of looking to be like, okay, look, this has come too far, and then this law it's obviously fucking complicated and particular, and I think they might have tried to or they added a bit more to it over time, but it's basically meant to be that if you own, like anyone owns, like now it would be like the big social media platforms, you're not held liable. But then now that if that flips to where they say, okay, if it gets to a certain point or there's a certain level of excess or whatever, we find that you've not been upholding your uh side of the bargain, and that goes out the window, then that impacts all what can be posted. And then obviously the first thing that comes to mind for me would be for brothers, for the truth going out. They'll be like, okay, yeah, that's too offensive. Take it down, because they'll do that anyway. You mention certain things, you don't say certain things in code, then they'll pick that shit up. They'll wipe it out, and then it's something that can easily come to fruition. Because the thing on Telegram is basically, I think it's one of the most anonymous, and it's basically used for like hella criminal activity, hella like child sex abuse images, like they say, drug trafficking, all sorts. So I said the French judge put Durov under formal investigation on Wednesday for suspected complicity in running an online platform that allows illicit transactions, child sex abuse images, drug trafficking, and fraud. And yeah, I remember watching a video going into like rings that were set up in what the fuck was it called? Rings that were set up in Korea, South Korea, where they had like men basically trading uh like videos, pictures, etc. of like just hella girls, and a lot of them it was like sisters, daughters, school children, etc. And they were getting them to do, madness on camera because they'll basically either catch them, well, find some kind of leverage against them, and then go on Telegram. They'll have groups set up in Telegram, and then you'll basically pay and be like, okay, I want this girl to do this, and I'll pay this much, and they're organizing these things through Telegram because of the anonymity and the fact that if you can set these things up and they let it run to a certain extent. So Telegram is kind of like an outlier in how it operates, because it's like if you try and do that on pretty much anything other than like maybe I don't know about WhatsApp, because it says it's peer to peer. It says it's peer to peer encoded, but to what extent? If someone was sending like child sexual abuse images, or they were trying to organize, because even with that, I remember during the riots they had footage of like where you're seeing screenshots of being in all those groups, and it was hella easy to get into those groups. So it could just be a thing where they have investigators getting in those things, or it could be what do you call it, that they actually have back doors. A lot of these social media apps, because I know like Meta, they have back doors. Twitter have back doors to kind of get like information, to get IP locations and all those kinds of things, to like ready to hand over to the police, should they subpoena it. But then we'll kind of have to wait and see if this accumulates into something. It says what the 39-year-old entrepreneur who has a French and UAE citizenships too is also suspected of money laundering and providing encrypted messaging to criminals. And yeah, that's the thing, is it's a thing as well where it might just kill encrypted messaging, because it could be a thing where they say if we can't check that they're not breaking these these stipulations, then you can't have it. And then and then it becomes like essentially any form of like messaging app or whatever. It's all those things. It's essentially, you think it's private, you think it's whatever, but then that can be given to like any government body whenever. And then these things all just kind of make it where it's loosening the shackles on, just loosening kind of grip that these current like social media platforms, different ways of engaging with the internet hold sway, and then it'll be moving towards that new system, and then kind of having people lean on this, where it's like, okay, we'll kind of just run it all through this, and then you can have everything that you used to have over there, or just kind of be like, okay, we got to utilize this new system to kind of stop all this criminality, or stopping criminal acts happening. Is always a big justification. Two of the big justifications for like getting things done is like, oh, we need to stop criminal activity, and we need to help like these people that are so decrepit. Their life is so fucked up. We need to make sure we can help them, and then things being done in the name of that, people don't really doubt and think about. Because with like this case, if it goes somewhere, it's basically gonna, the whole Section 230, which that's obviously in the US, but then a lot of these companies are set up in the US. But then if this applies, and this is in France, so if this applies in the EU, then the US companies will have to adjust how they kind of do it. So it would apply globally anyway, because people want to maintain dealing with the EU. Because let's say lawyer David Olivier Kaminsky, who is representing Durov in France, said on Thursday it was absurd to say a platform or its boss are responsible for any abuse carried out on the platform, and that Telegram was abiding by European laws. So yeah, that's like I said, Section 230 is set up in the States, but then that's been the precedent set for like how all these different platforms have worked, which is why you'll have, it's like people can do a madness, and then like Mark Zuckerberg ain't getting thrown in jail. Apparently that's why. But then we'll see, because it says prior to his arrival on Saturday, Durov did not know about the arrest warrant that awaited him in France. A source at the Paris prosecutor's office said. So they schemed on that guy. Some commentators have speculated that Durov must have known about the warrant, raising questions about why he did not stay away from France. He deliberately came to France, where he knew he would be arrested. Why? Gerard Araud, France's former ambassador to the US, wrote next. So yeah, it's what do you call it? It's something where if it this, because I was initially looking at it kind of like it ain't really that, it might just be something between France and Russia, where it's kind of like trying to put some pressure on them. But then if this applies in the EU, if they kind of make it where it's like being a platform, essentially abiding by the Section 230 setup, that went over, where it says if you're removing and moderating stuff that crosses a certain line, then you're not going to be held liable. If they say okay, these guys weren't moderating enough, then it gets like the squeeze gets put on everything. And then if they say, okay, we got to change how this is structured, then that can be something used to kind of like start squashing, because they already like kind of skirt the line on these things anyway. But this has kind of brought it to a bigger stage, to where we'll kind of see if they're going to kind of change how it's structured, how things happen online. And then that will kind of as well, then if they can broaden the scope, then it's like getting things posted from like war zones, getting things posted from where it's like what's called like breaking news, hot news events, where something's happening at the moment. Can't remember that guy that set himself on fire outside of Trump's court case. Like I remember hearing about that at the time. I saw the headline. I was like, fucking, I went on Twitter, and then you see this guy cook himself alive. Because you could get straight away. And then I think over the course of time, they started taking some of that down, or they'll only promote the ones that aren't. But then going forward, they might say, okay, that crosses a certain threshold of excessively violent, so we're gonna dampen that. And then the thing is as well, is like these stipulations are broad, because it says or otherwise objectionable, so that's broad as fuck. That can be anything. That's the same with like the laws in the UK for the Section 4A of the Public Order Act, where they say if you cause someone distress and alarm, which is basically like if that doesn't have any kind of basis, no solid basis. You could walk past someone and cause them distress and alarm, because they're like, wow, you're so tall and you're so black. You could just say, oh, I was a black fella, I was worried. And then that's then under that law, you can be arrested and thrown in jail. So when they have these broad laws, it's so they can kind of enact what they desire, man. And that's the thing, is like they can just utilize these situations to where it just they can apply it and do anything they want. And then, like I said, the main thing I'm looking at is family of the word. I read this Isaiah 10 and 10. It says, so like 10 and 1, it says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. Yeah, unrighteous decrees. Because as far as with the way all his legislation and whatnot is set up, is to kind of have these loopholes, these openings and whatnot, where it might not apply to what it initially was meant to be used for, but then they're like, oh, we can just kind of use it for our purpose. And that's what it seems like with, you know, this court case. It could have that shit come together where it would just be like, oh, okay, we're basically you know, gonna utilize the system, kind of shake up how these different websites are set up, to turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. And yeah, they're basically used to take an advantage of whoever they desire, so that can be weaponized. And then, you know, with Esau's system, how his laws are anyway, is he deals with them like they don't apply to him anyway. As far as you hit, you know, you hit a certain threshold, you get dealt with a certain way. You know, certain laws cease to apply. Everyone talks about, oh, you know, taxes, tax evasion, blah blah blah, and you know everyone does it. You got people doing it on the lower level, where they might have like a dodgy not a bookie, what they called, a dodgy accountant that'll kind of sort you out. But then on, you know, people that uh, on lower levels will have it, but then when you go to the elite level, then they'll just kind of have that shit set up to where they're loopholing that shit completely. You know, a lot of these guys will just have laws in there where you can't even hold them liable for certain things, and then certain shit will just be off the books, man. I'll read this as well. Amos 8:11, it says, "Behold, the days come, saith the Most High Power, that will send a famine in the land, not famine of bread, nor thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord Jehovah." And yeah, that's ultimately where all these different, you know, switch ups on what information you're allowed to put on online, and then all the laws kind of surrounding it. This guy being grabbed up is because I think it's the key thing is that he's the guy that owns the platform, and then if he gets if he gets prosecuted, then they're kind of basically saying throw Section 230 in the bin, because then regardless of you know it being not being in the US, all these companies are gonna be like, okay, we can't just comply with this. We gotta deal with what the EU guys want to kind of continue to function, and then we'll kind of see how that fully formulates. But yeah, let's leave it there. Shalom, shalom. Shalom.